Hi everyone, it's Niamh here and welcome to my art journaling channel. Today we're going to be using the Collage Collective from Dina Wakley to create a monochromatic colour scheme in our journal. So I'm starting out my large Dilutions journal and I was obviously feeling blues today, so that's the colour scheme we're going with. You can see it's a page that I've scraped something else off onto and I'm just painting over it. I don't care that some of that gold's going to peek through because I know that I'm going to be doing stuff over the top, and probably in the end, if I don't like it, I can cover over it. So don't ever think, oh, I've got something on this page, I can't use it. Just paint over it. So I'm just going through my acrylic paint stash and using all the blues I had. I just so happen to have all my Dina Wakley paints sitting next to me, so these are all Dina Wakley paints. So I've got sky, ocean, turquoise, marine and night on this page, but obviously whatever paint you've got, you use. And I'm doing it in blues. If you want to do it in greens or if you want to do it in reds, go for it. So just use whatever colours you want, just use tones of the same in the background. Quite often I tend to do things in two ways. So I either go for Rainbow Bright and put all the rainbows on the page, or I go for similar tones, so colours that sit next to each other on the colour wheel. So that's what this is. It is analogous because there are sort of all colours that sit in the colour wheel together. It's probably more monochromatic though because it's sort of from the same colour family. They're all blues. Analogous sort of would be, you know, your blues and greens being mixed together because they sit next to each other on the colour scheme. Colour wheel, sorry. So what I'm doing now is just going in with some stenciling over the top. And obviously you can see I've got the patches of colour in the background. When I'm doing my stenciling, I'm going to deliberately stencil over those patches of colour so it leads my eye around the page. So you can see with this curly leaf frond, I'm not sort of keeping it all in one area. I'm deliberately sort of extending it out and around. And what this helps do is again lead the eye around your page, but it also takes your eye away from there's a patch of light blue and there's next to a patch of dark blue, next to a patch of light blue. So it actually helps blend it together a little bit more. The other thing that I'm doing is I'm stenciling using colours I've used in my background. So I'm not changing or introducing any colours, and I'm actually stenciling, you know, this bit I'm stenciling the night colour, that dark blue, over some of the dark blue I've got on the page. So I get that sort of dark area on it, and then I'm putting it somewhere else and I'm getting a contrast. So it helps create different shades of the same colour, if that makes sense. The other thing I'm doing is adding in a little bit of white. Now I haven't changed my sponge to this, so I have used the same tones on this page. I suppose I have created a new colour, but it is, you know, a lighter tone of what is already on the page. And what I'm doing is just going in and filling in some of the random areas. So Dina Wakley, which is where all these three stencils are from, when I first used to look at her stencil, I used to think, oh, what would you use that for? In actual fact, her stencils are the ones I tend to go for most because they are, a lot of them are sort of geometric shapes or things like those dots that you think, oh, okay, they're just dots. But in actual fact, they're really, really useful for filling in gaps and for putting in some stenciling somewhere that doesn't take your main focus. Like that curly stenciling on there is obviously very pretty. I'm obviously drawing your eye to it by outlining it, but it is a focal stencil, whereas sort of the dots and even that sort of wonky chevron shape in the background sort of blends into the background a little more. So have a look at your stencils, have a look at some of your more boring stencils and go, well, can I actually use that in some way, shape or form? If you're a gel printer, those boring, so to speak, stencils are actually really, really handy for gel printing. They're just great shapes to have. So one of the things that I do like to do, and if you follow my channel, you have seen me doing this numerous times, is to outline my stenciling. And as you can see, it gives you a real focus on the page. Surprise, surprise, when I was doing this page, I didn't really have an idea of what I was doing. I was just having fun with colours. Sometimes when I'm stuck, I just sit down and go, okay, I'm just going to use these colours. What am I going to come up with? and just having that little focus of, okay, I'm just going to use blues. What can you do with it? You're only allowed to use blues to stencil with, and you're only allowed to use blues to paint the background with. How are you going to do it? So giving yourself a little bit of a challenge like that certainly helps me when I'm playing around. The doodling around the edge, you can see I'm not being very, very careful, and funnily enough, I'm actually using a Signo white pen. Usually I use a Posca paint pen, but my Posca paint pens weren't playing ball with me this day, so I decided to break out my my gel pen, which did the job. So once I was finished, I really, really liked it, but it needed something. It could have done with just a big quote down the middle, I have to say. But I went through the Collage Collective, and this is one of my favourite shapes, faces from in there. But the reason I chose it is because it had some of these colours in the background that I had used. One of the things I really love about, and they're double-sided, don't freak out that I've used this page, to make myself actually use the Collage Collective, I did buy 2 copies. So I could have a good copy that I didn't break into. I have actually broken into both of them now, but just having that little backup really helped me actually use it to begin with. So if you're really struggling to cut into it, maybe buy another copy and cut into one. I use Adina Waitley paints, and because she obviously used her own paints, you can match up your colours really well. So you can obviously see the ocean I've used in the background, she's used in the face, and it matches up. The other thing that I really love to do when I am adding in faces or adding in collage into my book is to draw over the top of them again. And there's 2 reasons for that. One is obviously printed material, when it's glued in or when it's printed, the blacks are never black, like totally black again. So by drawing over the top of it, it just helps it to pop out. But for me too, it also helps train my hand. Like, I love that style of drawing, that really sort of whimsical, sketchy nature. I need to practice doing that. So if I can practice over a model and, you know, be scribbly over the top of, you know, Dina's amazing scribbles, that helps me feel a little bit more confident the next time I try and go and do it myself. As I love to say, practice makes progress. So the more we do it, the more we train our hands to move, the better it becomes. It's like I often get lots and lots of questions about, you know, oh, I can't do my own handwriting on the page. I really struggle with it. So do I. I've found some tips and tricks, and I've shared them on this channel as well, that I use to help me do my fonts. It does help if you've got a white pen that's playing. My white pens, I don't know what's going on at the moment, but they're usually really opaque, and this one was really translucent. You know, so for my fonts, I write it out one way, and then I just go back and thicken up some of the lines, you know, make some wider areas, make some little triangles off the tops of the strokes just to widen them out a little bit. And that's what I do. And again, it's just I keep practicing it. So, you know, that's all we need to do. Then once I'd written out my quote, I decided I wanted to outline it. Now, usually I would use my paint pens again, but for this I actually chose to use a thin micron pin pen, I think, and I'm just drawing around it. Now, I kind of wish I hadn't done that, or I had made the outline thicker or something, because it kind of blended into the background a little bit. In my journal, it's a little bit easier to see, but the white needed something to punch it out from the background. And I think if I had actually done what I usually do and done just a thicker line on the outside edges of my letters, that would have helped pop it out from the background a little bit more than it did on this page. The other thing that wasn't helping very much was my paint pen. My white paint pen was a little bit more translucent than it usually is, so I didn't get the same punch of white on the page that I'm used to. But, you know, these are all things, live and learn. They're never always perfect, and you know, it's still in my journal. I still like it, so it's all good. It helped me work out what I needed to do. One of the other things I'm going to do is I'm writing under the eye a little message which says be strong, because the message or the quote is, we can make ourselves miserable or we can make ourselves strong. It's the same amount of work. which, you know, is a good message. So these will a load of these videos probably go up in the same time. You'll probably see the same message going through, which is telling you a little bit about where my head was at this stage. But if this is what art journaling is all about. You can make pretty art, you can practice things, but it can also help empty out what's in your head as well. So thank you very much for watching. Have a go at working all in one colour. It's a lot of fun. It's a great challenge to give yourself. And until next time, bye for now.